This woman's name is Ann. On a rainy night, Ann walked slowly towards the church entrance, placing one's own child in a blanket on the ground. I took a deep look at it, leaving without looking back. She didn't know her behavior was being watched by 2 police officers. I came back and called in together. They're searching for agents engaged in illegal baby business outside the church. Police officer Jane carried the child into the baby quarantine box. If it's left outside, it won't last until tomorrow morning. 2 men just stole the child in. I saw a small piece of paper that said I would come back to pick it up. The 2 of them didn't take it seriously and delete the videos in the baby quarantine box. This means that the baby has never been here before. These 2 people are just 2 ordinary people with some financial difficulties. They're preparing to secretly sell the baby to a good family. Just think of it as doing good deeds. You can also earn a certain amount of income, have the best of both worlds. Their identities are also very ordinary. Liang Dong is an orphan, part-time in church, and Heiji runs a laundry. Unfortunately, business has been sluggish, burdened with debt, often harassed and threatened by gangs. Hao Ge drove away from the police with his child. Jane and his partner have been following Hao Ge and stopping in front of their own laundry. Before the child finds a buyer, he needs to take on the responsibility of being a wet dad. No matter what you do, always bring your child with you. Take care of the child meticulously. Such illegal trading. The 2 have done it more than once. But the next day, An changed his mind, returned to the church. But I couldn't find my own child. Da Dong is afraid of him calling the police, so I took him to the laundry. The 2 of them confessed to Heiji, explained his life to him, so let him stay in the nursery. As an orphan, it's better to let him grow up in a warm family, and you can also receive a 10 million yuan reward. They promised to find the best foster parents for their children. Finally, An, for the happiness of the child, decided to join them. It can also be considered as supervising them to find buyers. 3 people driving together on the road. They didn't expect the police officers still following behind them, and planned to capture a few people to the location at the moment the transaction was completed. The buyer and the 2 are disdainful of the child, which is a bit ugly. It's not as beautiful as the photos. Request 4 million. The good guy cut 6 million straight away, and it also requires installments, even suspecting that it was a rape that gave birth to this sentence. Unheard a good one. This deal in Chang'an has completely gone bankrupt. Transaction failed. The foreign police are also eye-catching. They're not in a hurry to go home, but driving to the nursery where I grew up in Dadun. Decided to take a break here, waiting for the next buyer. The children here are all orphans that no one has adopted. Over the age of 6, there is a high probability that they will never be adopted again. That night, Da Dong and An also had a fight. Because he saw the shadow of his parents in An's body, I left a small note with my parents, who abandoned him back then. He said he would come back to pick him up. But until today, Da Dong's parents didn't come to see her either. But she doesn't know. It's actually not easy either, because he still carries a life on his back. During automatic car wash, the mischievous little chubby shook the window open. Water and foam are sprayed into the car. Several people were all wet on their bodies. However, a few people laughed happily. An also smiled a long time ago. This is a segment from Shai Zi and the director's movie Broker. Back to the main topic. Why is An carrying human life on his body? Originally, the police found a body in a hotel, neck broken by someone, leave a lipstick mark on site. It seems that the killer is a woman. The police followed the surveillance and found An come to his former place of residence. There are all young girls inside, except for an aunt. Aunt is a pimp. When the police questioned An, Auntie cursed and told her not to give birth anymore. And now police officer Jane has learned that An is suspected of murder. He decided to accelerate the sale of the child, guiding crime. Okay, get them arrested and brought to justice as soon as possible. He found a man and a woman disguised as buyers. I gave them a careful command. Subsequently, he took out his own pocket and contacted Heiji and his team at a price that exceeded twice the market price. And at this moment, Heiji noticed someone hiding behind the car. Xiao Shui, at first glance, this is Xiao Pang from kindergarten. Follow me over here. They decided to pay Xiao Pang to take a bus back, and Xia Pang are determined to go with them on the road, because Xia Pang already knew they were going to sell that child. Helplessly, a few people took Xia Pang with them, and soon unknowingly Heiji and his team arrived at the agreed location, dealing with buyers arranged by the police. However, the 2 actors involved in the matter were quickly identified by the shrewd Da Dong. Da Dong speculates that the 2 of them are trying to resell. A few people just hugged the child and left, leave behind 2 people with a bewildered expression. The police who failed the plan decided to directly use An to kill the person. They directly revealed their identities and requested to talk to An. At night, An pretended to ignore and return to his residence. Heiji and his team were unaware of the monitors around An's body at this time. Their conversation was heard by 2 police officers. The next day, the child suddenly cried uncontrollably. Looks like I have a fever. Several people rushed the child to the hospital. Fortunately, after the doctor's examination, they said it was a minor issue. In the hospital, An expressed gratitude to Heiji. If it were him alone, I really don't know what to do. Just a few people are nervous. The child's expression was heard by 2 police officers. My partner is very confused, so nervous. Are you afraid of getting sick and not being able to sell it? The man who died on the other side turned out to be a gang leader. His wife unlocked her phone from her husband's fingerprint in the morgue and discovered the connection between her deceased husband and Aran. She also understood that Aran had run away with the child. He asked his subordinates to bring the child back to him. He said it was her husband's child. He needs to support. But the actual thoughts are unknown. On the same day, Heoji and they received contact. The other party actually offered 40 million yuan to buy a child, claiming to be the biological father of the child. Ask Arn tonight. Arn speaks the truth. He has already killed the child's biological father, and now the wife of the black boss should also be looking for him to buy a child. There is a high risk of giving the child to him. No one knows why he wants a child. The next day, Dardong did indeed flip out a GPS in the car. The police wouldn't use such outdated things, so they suspect that this may have been set by the wife of the black boss. At this moment, the black boss subordinates have already walked over. Brother Kerr had promised that Dardong will never do it for money this time, so I rejected my subordinates. Seeing my subordinates preparing to come hard, Dardong's move to work stuns his subordinates. How many people got on the train and left? Arriving in Seoul, met another pair of buyers. This pair is okay, but there is a condition. I just hope that my child and biological parents will never see each other again. They promised to end up playing in Seoul. On the ferry wheel, Dardong said to Arn. Otherwise, the child won't give it away. They make up a family of 5. Okay. It's a good idea for him to become a father. But Arn knew he was about to go to prison, so he pretended not to understand Dardong's confession. Dardong understands. Arn doesn't want the child to become the son of a murderer. Perhaps my parents had their own troubles back then. Return to the hotel, Heoji suddenly said. I haven't seen Arn talking to the child yet. Anne, I'm sorry, so I turned off the lights. Arn lay in bed and refused to deliver. And what else? Just say. Late at night, Arn went to see the police. Prepare not to sell the child at the suggestion of the police. Surrendering now can still reduce the sentence. Being able to reunite with the children after being released from prison. And Heoji and their discovery of Arn went to see the police. Heoji understands. For the sake of the child, Arn may betray himself. The two of them left the hotel. But on the way I met the black boss subordinates. Heoji asked Dardong to take the child away. Go and have a good conversation with your subordinates on your own. Dardong held the child and went to find his foster parents alone. My foster father even apologized, and said that he shouldn't have said that yesterday. If Arn wants to see you, you can see me anytime. But then the police broke in. Arrest Dardong on suspicion of personal trafficking. The next day, the news is playing. A gang member was killed in an underground shopping mall in the early morning of this morning. Brother How, sit down. Dull gaze. The answer is self-evident. Not long. 2.5 years later, and he was released from prison with early commutation of his sentence. Working at a gas station, and the child has always been raised by police officer Jane. The story is almost over here, as Arn said in the darkness. Not an abandoned child, but the child who's being guarded. Just like at the end of the movie, no matter what difficulties you are facing now, turn off the light, say to oneself, thank you for your birth.